Yo, what's up, guys? Joker bringing you another video. This is going to be essentially me just trying to convince you to buy and or jump into Last Epoch before the official release, right? In case you don't know, Last Epoch's official release is coming here really soon on February 21st, and it's bringing us trade and item factions and what seems to be an expansion, right? So, an insane amount of content on top of everything that is already in the game. So, I kind of just wanted to go ahead and speed run some of my favorite things about the game to hopefully convince you to either jump into it or check it out upon release, right? Because right now, with D4 being in such a terrible state and the next Path of Exile season being a while away, I feel like there is going to be an insane amount of bloat on the servers upon official release. I don't think it's something that 11th Hour Game is really taking into consideration, right? The amount of ARPG players that really have nothing to do right now. So I think that there may be some server bloat and a lot of server lag, potentially crashes, stuff like that, because there's an insane amount of players that need something to do right now, at least, even if they don't play it permanently, at least until the next season of Path of Exile. So I just wanted to go ahead and speed run a couple of things showing you some really cool things about Last Epoch and how, in my opinion, it's the perfect middle ground for an ARPG player where there's more complexity than Diablo and there's less complexity than Path of Exile. Okay, so up first, we have skill tags and the integrated game guide, right? This is something that I wish other games did better. Like, as an example, Path of Exile, if you're trying to build something, you kind of have to already have the pre existing knowledge to be able to build an effective character. But in Last Epoch, you're able to go ahead and just select the skill. And it literally tells you what its scaling tags are. You want this minion to do more damage? Okay, well then you're going to need minion damage and or intelligence. It's also going to scale with physical, spell, melee, and area, right? Same thing over here with the Hungering Souls. Necrotic, spell, damage over time, intelligence. It just directly tells you what you would need to spec into to deal more damage. It's super easy. It takes all the questioning of oh, do I need to go this or this? Maybe I just respec both. No, it just tells you what you need to do. And let's say you want to make like an Ignite based character, right? This is going to go ahead and be where the game guide comes into play. All you have to do is type Ignite into it, and it tells you that Ignite deals fire damage over time. It can stack an unlimited amount of times, and by default, each stack does 40 damage over 2.5-second duration, right? So this automatically lets you know a couple of things that you may want to scale. You're going to want to scale duration because it's going to make your ignites last longer, right? Because at base, it only has 2.5 seconds of duration. You're going to want to hit as many times as you can in quick succession because it stacks an unlimited amount of times. And then you're going to want to scale things like damage over time and fire damage because that is going to go ahead and scale that base damage. So it makes it super easy and super convenient for you to figure out how to scale. And this is going to work for everything, right? Let's say bleed, right? We want to see how bleed works. Let's say if we want to freeze something, how does freeze work, right? And it just gives you the ability. How do minions work, right? It just goes ahead and did I misspell this? Minion. What the hell? There we go. Yeah, I misspelled it. It breaks down everything about minions, and then it tells you the difference between companions and totems that have additional mechanics, right? So it would literally link you to the different things. It's just so easy, so convenient, such a quality of life. Up next is the integrated loot filter. You heard me right. Integrated loot filter. This, in my opinion, is one of the best things that could ever happen to an ARPG because, in the case of Path of Exile or even Diablo 4, right? If Diablo 4 integrated this exact thing, a lot of players would be happy about it because in Diablo 4, you spend too much time picking up junk. And in Path of Exile, you have to use third party resources to get an effective loot filter, right? This is an integrated loot filter that allows you to make it specific as specific as you would like, right? So in this case, this loot filter is blocking out every item, right? I have it blocking everything besides uniques as a base. So it will not show me anything. But the rules on top overrule right the rules on the bottom. So instead of blocking out everything, I'm looking for items that specifically have a certain tier of specific modifiers. I cannot even explain well, actually, I can explain how good that is. It would literally be like if you were set up a loot filter to look specifically for like merciless on an item that drops in Path of Exile, right? If well, everything would have to drop identified, but they already do that in Last Epoch because they know that identifying items is stupid. So items already dropped identified, and it allows me to search specifically for, like in the example, for like merciless or I don't know what the tier under merciless is, whatever the tier 2 physical damage is, right? It allows me to make sure that the items that drop actually have a value, right? They actually have a value to me. I'm not picking up a bunch of useless, worthless shit. I'm not clogging up my tabs. I'm not having to waste time, right? Every item that I see on the ground is either an item with modifiers that I want and or need, or is a direct upgrade to what I'm currently using. Since I've already brought it up and mentioned it, the next thing is going to be stash tabs, right? There's no pay to win stash tabs or extreme limitation on stash tabs, right? Last Epoch gives you base infinite stash tabs, right? Well, I don't know if it's really infinite, but it's literally more than you're ever going to need, right? Because I have these tabs full, right? And then I have other tabs and I can just continue to make more, right? And the only thing that I need is in-game gold, which you're going to have an extreme surplus of, right? So you're perfectly fine. You essentially have unlimited storage space. So if you wanted to pick up every item, I mean, I don't recommend that. That's kind of stupid, but if you wanted to, you could potentially just pick up every item that drops for you. And the only thing that's going to cap you is the amount of gold that you're able to make. But once you hit end game, the amount of gold that you can generate is essentially infinite as well. So you're going to have no issues actually getting this done. So a huge pro. You don't have to pay for stash tabs with real money, and you're not limited on what you're able to actually pick up. That way, all your alternate characters, you can actually save items for them that you don't have to worry about. Just like this. This is a mage idol, and I'm currently on a necromancer and it's blocked out. I'm saving it because in case I ever need 28% volcanic orb damage and speed, right? I'm saving it in case I want to build around it and I don't have to worry about it clogging up my storage space or worry about running out of storage. Huge, 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 huge quality of life. Up next is going to be build diversity, right? It's not like Diablo where there's all of 7 viable builds that you're able to play, or it's not like Path of Exile where there's too many things that you could technically play. It's in my opinion, like a perfect middle ground. I'm gonna keep saying that because it is like a perfect middle ground, right? So there is 5 base classes, and each of those classes has 3 ascendancies or is going to have 3 ascendancies. I think we're only missing 2 at this point. So I think there's 13 ascendancies currently. The Warlock and the Falconeer, I believe, are the only 2 that are currently missing. But from that, each base class has like 20 some skills, and those skills are almost all viable, right? So you're able to play however you would like. And each skill has its own skill tree, right? So you're able to just have an insanely large amount of build diversity. On top of each skill having its own skill tree, you have a skill tree, right? So it's like a double pronged skill tree that allows you to just play however you want to play. You're able to play just an insane amount of builds. And the best part is it does not lock you out of build diversity at all. It has the easiest way of respecting. Once again, it only costs gold, and you're going to have an infinite amount of gold, or at least way more than you possibly need, right? I have 200K here, and I've been using it because you need it for potentially the crafting system. You need it for stash tabs, right? There is uses for gold, so it's not like it's a dead currency. There is a reason why you want to have a lot of gold. There's a gambler. I think they're only at the end of time. I don't think there is one here. So let's jump over to the end of time and go talk to the gambler, right? It's essentially the same thing like Gwenin, right? Like Gwenin from Expedition, or whatever the fuck the name is of the person who does it in Diablo, right? Where you would go ahead and use blood shards. This, you literally just use gold, right? And it has a huge amount of bases. These can all roll up until unique, right? So just super great what currency system, where essentially the primary currency being the gold, and the gold actually has a purpose. Now this is up until the official launch, right? Because with the official launch we're going to be getting trade and item factions, and with the trade system they're introducing a separate currency that helps deter bots, right? So we have the ability of not having to worry about bots, but we get all of the quality of life of a fantastic trade system. If you go ahead and just watch these videos or Google trade and item factions, you'll see that everyone says that this is essentially one of, if not the best trade system that they've seen in an ARPG, right? So once again, it's one of those things where 11th Hour just took probably the best concept of a bunch of other ARPGs and smashed it together, and you're getting like the best out of everything. I think Last Epoch has an insane potential to just completely outright replace D4 in the competition for best ARPG. The last thing that I want to praise is the crafting system, because once again, it's like the perfect middle ground between Diablo not giving you any ability to craft and Path of Exile's crafting being way too complicated, right? So, items in Last Epoch, majority of the time, have four affixes, right? The reason why I phrase it like that is because there are items that can have more than four affixes, but I'm not going to be getting into that in this video, right? Majority of the time, items have four affixes, two prefixes, and two suffixes. Every item that drops is going to have forging potential. I mean, with the exception of legendaries, they can have a different type of forging potential, but once again, not getting into that. So, for base items, it is going to drop with a certain amount of forging potential. This is going to give you pretty much an amount of attempts you can have on crafting that item. So that's why the loot filter is so good, because you're going to only be picking up the items that have affixes that you can pick up from, right? Items that are already pretty much halfway completed and you only have to do the other half, right? So, like, as this helmet, as an example, right? It has level of hungering souls and health. I have the ability of going ahead and leveling up the tier of the health affects, giving it more health. it is going to cost me 1 to 12 forging potential out of my 14 forging potential. However, there are glyphs that give me the ability of pretty much not having it waste. Do I have any? Yeah, glyph of hope, right? 25% chance that it will cost me no forging potential. So we'll go ahead and click. We didn't get the 25%, but as you can see, the affix did get upgraded anyway. And this is how you are going to craft items. Let's say I wanted resistance on this now, right? All I would have to go ahead and do is select the type of resistance that I want and select the shard that I have. Once again, you're going to have like an infinite amount of these. I mean, I have 1,800 different shards, right? And you're going to go ahead and just slam it on that. This, I got unlucky, right? And it went ahead and it gave me cold res, but it ate up the rest of my forging potential. In the case of this item, what I would go ahead and do is I would use a rune of shattering on it, right? Because it's not an upgrade, and this definitely could change when the trade system comes out, because even mediocre items will potentially have a purpose at that point. But in this case, I would go ahead and I would shatter this because I want to try to get this level of hungering souls. Uh, and we got it, right? And it took the shards that I wasted and potentially pulls them back, right? When you shatter an item, it gives you a percentage of the shards that are in those affixes back to you. And you just buy these for, you guessed it, gold. So super easy crafting system, super cool, super understandable, right? It's not overly complicated, but it's not overly simplified. It's a good middle ground. And I know I said the last thing, but in this case, the real last thing is end game, right? You don't have to worry about there being no end game because they have an insanely cool end game system where there is bosses, right? And it has a good natural progression. As you can see, it's recommending level 58. And then from when I complete this monolith set, it branches off and it says, do I want to go to level 62 maps or do I want to go to level 66 maps, right? And they all have individual benefits. On top of the fact of once you clear a set island, it's going to go ahead and give you the ability of modifying the drops that you would get. So not only can you farm for what you want in the end game, it literally gives you the choice of farming whatever you want. Let's go ahead and go over here as an example so I can show what the monolith web actually looks like, which is once again super cool. It's actually it is a lot like mapping, but it is also a lot not like mapping. So this is essentially what it's going to look like, right? You are going to be on an island and you're going to have 3 checkpoints as you increase the instability of the monolith, right? As the instability increases, it's going to make it essentially harder. There are nodes that will reset this for you, right? It'll go ahead and it'll like reset the instability to 0, but it also gives you the ability of farming for specific items and it tells you exactly how it's going to affect it, as well as the modifiers on this, right? Your player modifiers: 10% increased item rarity, 8% increased EXP, enemy high health enemies take 25% less damage, right? It tells you all the modifiers and the rewards in an extremely easy, streamlined way, right? So once again, super super easy. Takes out like all of the RNG of almost everything. Last Epoch's just such a good game, dude. I know this video has been like literally all over the place, but I just wanted to go ahead and cover a couple of things, right? A couple of reasons why you might want to jump into Last Epoch prior to the official launch, because not only do I think there's going to be a large amount of bloat on the official launch, you want to have like some concept of these systems going into the official launch because we're getting trade, right? You're going to want to know how to value items and stuff like that. You're going to want to know how to craft. You're going to want to know how to get to the new end game, I'm assuming, expansion that the Echoes of the Void is, right? So that's pretty much it. Once again, I do apologize. I know this video was like all over the place, but I just wanted to throw out a video going over a couple things that I really like, a couple things that you may enjoy, and the reason why you should jump in before official launch. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to be ending the video here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, because when it drops, I am going to be playing a shit ton of Last Epoch. I want to learn everything I can about the trade factions. I want to test out the new end game system. I want to try everything out, right? Because I've been following Last Epoch for several years. And literally every couple of months, I have been jumping back in, and I'm insanely impressed with the amount of quality of life and everything that they keep pumping into this game. 11th hour games is really, really, really setting up to give GGG a run for their money. Since Diablo 4 and Blizzard kind of shit the bed, 11th hour games hasn't. 11th hour games just keeps doing everything right, and I'm insanely impressed with them. Hashtag not sponsored unless they want to, give me money. Hey, 11th hour games. But yeah, no, for real though, I extremely enjoy the game. It's amazing. I have yet to build like a list of like dislikes, if anything. Right now, there's like some lag, that's potentially it. Like there's not really that much that I found to actually complain about, dude. And that's saying a lot, especially a game made in 2024. Like there's not a lot for me to bitch about. Um, Give it a shot. I think it's only 35 bucks. I'll go ahead, if there is a discount going on anywhere, I'll try to find it and link it in the description. A lot of times, Nexus, right? The Nexus store will do promotions and everything. And since the launch is super soon, I'm gonna assume there's probably some kind of discount coming up here pretty soon. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end the video now so I can stop ranting. See you guys later.